doctor, and he says to the doctor, I have a real problem. My problem is that I'm too intelligent. The doctor says, what? He says, yeah, I'm of such superior intelligence that I can't talk to other people. I can't relate to other people. I want you to lower my intelligence. And the doctor says, get out of here. What are you talking about? He says, look, it bothers me just to speak to you. I've brought this apparatus here. We connect it to the electricity. We connect it to my frontal lobes. I give you this button. You'll press the button and you'll burn out some of my brain cells. And the doctor says, I don't believe you. He says, look, would you please help me? The doctor says, okay. He sits him down. He says, how do you feel? The guy says, no effect. How do you feel? It's maybe a little hazy around the corners, but I'm still so... Doctor goes, bzz, phone rings. Doctor picks it up, it's an emergency, he's talking. Then suddenly he realizes, he looks in, the guy's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? He runs in and he pulls the electrodes off and he says to him, how do you feel? And the guy says, I feel like I'd like to move to Israel. So that was sort of a transitional period having come here. And once you come here, then you confront the reality. The reality is, there's two realities. First of all, that you suddenly discover that you can speak a foreign language beautifully. The local language, however, right, and particularly for speakers of English, because I never remember whether a chair is a boy or a girl. Right? So this is so actually the way we speak is the way Italian immigrants used to speak in our country. They say, the train, she is coming, and the boat will be here tomorrow. Right? That's the way we sound. So I got to Israel, and I lived in Jerusalem, and lived in an absorption center, and life was really nice. Each of us had one plate, one fork, one spoon, and a straw mattress. And then one day, we got a notice that we had gotten the lift, the lift. And we had sent 2 lifts. And I had to go to Ben Gurion Airport to get my lifts. And that was back in the old days. There was one big blue building, which was the building, and then there was a little budka with, this is a group where I could speak my polluted English, right? And so I went in, and then I said, I have this notice, I got 2 lifts, okay. So I had to go and pay the tax. And stood on a long line and did the whole thing and paid the tax and then went to pick it up. And when I went to pick up the lifts, they said to me, well, one was lost and the other is in a bonded. So I said, well, first of all, why did I have to pay an import tax if you lost it? And they said, well, if we had told you first that we had lost it, you wouldn't have paid the tax. Which made some sense. And I said, okay, and what's this with a bonded? And they said, well, the second lift we sent to a warehouse in Tel Aviv. It's called a bonded because it's a bonded warehouse. And every day, you're paying rental. But I just got the notice. Well, that's the way it is. So I said, well, I'll go there now. And they say, no, the bonded closes at 2 o'clock every day, so you'll have to come back another day. And I said, and I'll continue to pay? And they said, absolutely. So I was really upset. And so I decided I would go and get the bus back to Jerusalem and explain to my then wife, not this one is a good one. The other one was a good one too, but she didn't like things I did. So I came home. Well, I meant to come home, and there was an Eged Budka thing and a little bench. And I went over, and with my brand new Hebrew, I said, Matai ha'otobus liYerushalayim? And they say, B'shalosh. I sit down, it's like 10 to 3. Pretty soon, it's 3:15. Go up and ask, Lo haya autobus b'shalosh. And the guy says, Ulai yeh b'arba. I'm understanding too much at this point, and I decide, to hell with this. I have been ripped off, I've been mistreated, I'm not going to take the bus. I know that there are these sharuts, and someplace I'll take a sharut to Jerusalem, and I storm away from the Eged thing, and I'm looking around, and a cop is coming. So I go up to him, and I say, in my new Hebrew, Eifo asher otim? So he says, B'toch habinyan. And I say, B'toch habinyan? He says, Me'efo ata? I say, Arzot Habrit, New York. He says, Eifo asher otim b'New York? I said, B'rachov, יש מקל עם שלט, וכל אחד עומד בתור, ומחכים לתור שלו. אז הוא אומר, אני אף פעם לא ראיתי את זה בסרט. שירותים ברחוב ויש לא רואים כל דבר בסרט. And then I walked away. And as I walked away, suddenly it hit me. And I said, screw him. I'm not going to go back and correct him. Someday this guy's going to get to New York. So the years went by, and then suddenly I realized I lived in a country where half of us are left wing and half of us are right wing, and we each figured that the other half are the traitors who want to destroy the country. And it existed like that until Olmert became prime minister. Because when he became prime minister, suddenly I would go to cocktail parties. Instead of the right-wingers and the left-wingers arguing, everybody would say, what are we going to do? This guy is terrible. It was the first time that everybody felt together. Olmert had unified the country. And so, of course, there came a joke. The Olmert joke. I don't know if you guys know it. I think I'm the only person who tells the Olmert joke. I've never met anybody who heard it other than someone who's come. The joke is the guy is leaving Jerusalem, and he's driving in his car to Tel Aviv, and suddenly he sees there is non-stop. Who didn't turn their phone on? The interesting thing about that is if it keeps ringing, we could figure it out. So the guy's driving, and suddenly traffic stops. And as far as he can see, there's no movement. All the cars are stopped. He doesn't know what's going on. Then he sees someone is walking along from car to car. And finally the guy comes up to his car, he rolls down the window, he says, what's going on? This guy says, look, something really terrible has happened. That's a different phone. He says, what's the hang-up? What's happening with it? He says, something terrible has happened. Hamas has
Turn
kidnapped.
it on, turn it off, okay?
They should find them. You can
Turn
find
it
them.
off.
50 shekels.
Wherever you are, look around you. Who is closest to the ringing phone? We can find that person. If you're serious, we could find that person.
Turn your phones off.
We're in the middle of a joke.
So the driver says, Hamas? What did Hamas do? Hamas kidnapped Olmert. Hamas kidnapped Olmert, yes. And they say that unless we give them $2 million, they're going to take Olmert into the center of Gaza City and they're going to burn him alive. And I've come from car to car to get donations. And the driver says, what do most people give? He says, about a gallon.